Okay, so here we are set up a, a little workstation to show you a demonstration on how to use tracing paper for your assignment where you're exploring pattern, size, variation, and negative positive space. So this is a book that I have. I found this at a garage sale, and I'm going to use it just as a for my demonstration. I'm gonna look through and see what kind of things I can upload for you here. This is a little bit more advanced. This is kind of something that goes beyond intro to design course, because symbols and signs goes a little bit more into like the history and culture of humans. But it is a really wonderful source of information and inspiration for symbols. So I'm just going to look at the cover right now and talk about some of these examples that I would prefer for you to use would be like if you did this lion crest for your shape that you chose, you could get a really interesting, very interesting work out of this because of the already this is so dynamic. So you choosing a shape that is already really dynamic, that already has negative and positive space, is going to enhance your design and make your design stronger. Even although these shapes don't connect here and here, there's still this negative space that it's occurring down here and around this. So even this would be an interesting shape to explore. But I decided I'm going to trace the eye shape because there is like a negative and positive space. There's this parallel line here that is pretty interesting as well, as far as like having a relationship between this line and this line goes. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your 6B pencil, the one with the darkest lead. You can do this with a mechanical pencil too, that works, or just a regular wooden pencil. You're gonna get your piece of tracing paper. If you don't have tracing paper, you can still just do this assignment. It's just gonna be a little bit harder for you, but tracing paper is a nice tool to have. So what you're gonna do is you're going to hold your tracing paper down over the shape that you want to copy. So you're probably gonna have to figure out, you can either draw directly on your tracing paper what your shape is gonna look like, or you can draw on sketch paper to figure out what shape you wanna use and then trace with the tracing paper. But since I chose one that is from a book, I'm just going to simply trace over it. So nothing too crazy here. Just going to take my time tracing the outline of this eye, which I don't actually know what the symbolism of this eye is for. Looks like it could be from Egypt. And that's why this book is rather fun, because it has a bunch of different cultural symbols. Your shape can also be inspired by something like in your family, or your shape can be inspired by like an object in your house. So you simply just start by tracing over the lines. And then you get my Bristol paper ready. So you trace over the lines on this one side, right? I traced that from the book. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my paper over. All of the pencil and the lead is on this side. So I'm going to trace once again over the lines. And I try to make sure actually that my pencil lines are pretty thick. And the heavy lead, the one with a lot of lead, darker lead, is really good for this, because you're repeating for the first two parts of this assignment for the pattern and for the change of direction, you're going to just be using the same shape over and over and over again. So You can also erase off your tracing paper. It does tend to rip a little bit easier than the Bristol paper, so just keep that in mind. If it rips, you might just have to start over again. Okay, so I have used my pencil to trace the outline on both this side and this side. Right? So I just finished this side. Now it's time for me to do a pattern. Simply just turn it over on your paper. And you trace over it again. You'll have to focus a little bit on remembering what parts you already outlined. You might forget, but you can always line it up and trace over again. Tracing paper is going to be the fastest way to replicate your shape for the first two parts of this assignment. If you don't have it, then you're just going to have to work a little bit extra harder. You can also try to make a stencil with your Bristol paper at home, if that helps you. And sometimes when I don't know if I've traced over everything, I like to double check. And so I hold my tracing paper down and I like to lift it to see that I got all the lines, and it looks like I did. Some lines are a little bit fainter, but I can simply just draw that in. And then use my black marker to fill in the shape to make it nice and stark and have a high contrast and very evident shape. And then there should be even enough pencil probably on this side to last me for another few tracings. The most frustrating thing is when your paper moves, in which case you have to line it up again, but it's not too difficult to deal with. So you have that again. So then also when you are changing the direction of your shape, so always just simply, since I've been doing it in this direction, I can just flip this over. Look, I flipped the directions. So you're gonna use the tracing paper for the first two parts of your assignment, fill it in with the black marker. Make sure you erase any pencil marks. Just, I want this to look very high contrast, all about the shape, no pencil lines, like no, I don't want to see any shadows of the planning. I want these to look rather finished. So that's how you use tracing paper. And then the other two parts of the assignment where you change the variation of the size and the direction, you're going to have to get in tune with that on your own, and just really like reach into your imagination to try to become innovative with how you alter your original shape.